Stetson Bennett, the fourth, is better than the quarterback on your roster. Mm-hmm. He did not win the Heisman. Tennessee fans, it's their biggest win of the season. They beat Alabama. Down. They threw the goalpost. They actually went to Neyland Stadium, tore the goalpost down again, carried them out to the river, threw them in the river because Stetson Bennett did not win the Heisman. Spoiler alert, we don't care. He's still our guy, and we will win the trophies that matter. Let's talk about the Heisman Trophy. Let's talk about whether or not Georgia will ever have somebody win it today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Everybody, how's it going? That is Daniel. I am Clint. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. More about them in a moment. Thank you, LinkedIn, for sponsoring this show. If you are on YouTube, head over to the audio side on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, like, give us a rating or review. If you're down in the comments, let us know you're there. Florida fan, not here.
No, not hearing anything.
Nope, not hearing. Interesting.
Not hearing anything back.
Today, we are talking about three things. One, we're giving a recap just of the Heisman this last weekend. As we all know, Stetson did not win, and some degenerate who only wins offensive stat awards did. So we'll talk about that.
Interesting.
We'll dive into that. We'll dive in. Daniel and I have a discussion of if UGA will ever see a Heisman under Kirby. Win, not just a finalist, but win. And then maybe based on that conversation, loyal third segment listeners will get potential Heisman finalist of UGA in the future. So Daniel, this last weekend, we had USC Lincoln Riley, the notable QB whisperer.
Oh, he whispers. He is the new Dan Mullen, really. And I meant every word of it. I meant every word of it.
Factually correct. And by the way, Lincoln, I'm just here to tell you, as a career trajectory path,
that ain't
you don't want that.
That ain't it. Both of them notable QB whisperers. Both of them have never won anything of note. So there's similarities abound. Congrats to Caleb Williams, though. In all honesty, I get the, we want our guy to win. And sure. I get if you're a Tennessee fan, you think it's a travesty that Hendon Hooker wasn't invited and you want your guy to win or whatever. But, so much was made about this kid painting something on his fingernails, and Georgia fans, did you retweet the rant of your coach in the locker room and talk about how awesome it was and how much it fired you up? And did you retweet that? Was that you?
Now again,
did I see you?
Two things true at the same time. Should he have painted it on his fingernails? No,
sure he shouldn't. Do young people make bad decisions all the time?
All day.
I don't get the slander of Caleb Williams. He had a great season.
He
was great for USC. I don't have any problem with him winning the Heisman. And honestly, Stetson was a bit of a long shot.
I'm going to make a controversial statement. I would have loved to see Fleming make it, but he should have won. Daniel, Caleb should have won the Heisman, and he did.
Yeah, and he did. And that's fine. It is interesting that of these four quarterbacks, one of them is not playing for a national championship.
Let's talk, because that's what I want to get to. That's what I want to go down. It would have been awesome to hit on these preseason bets that we had. Weldon Brothers, Dukes, us. We all had them. We all had tickets on them. Didn't catch it. Would have been awesome. You really do hate to see it. It was a long shot. We knew it was a long shot. We were getting value on it. That's why we took the bet to begin with. But let's talk the most important thing, because if you understand the Heisman Trophy, you all understand this is a beauty pageant. Okay?
Correct.
Now, we all like the idea of being with somebody who would have won some sort of beauty pageant sometime in their lives. This sounds great, and this sounds awesome.
Sure.
But what if I was to tell you that you could work on a meaningful relationship with somebody that actually has substance all day long? And I'm not saying beauty contestants don't. All I'm saying is if I gave you the two options, which one would you rather have? And the national championship is the thing of substance, the thing that matters, the thing that goes on and gets all these draft picks, the thing that has Trayvon go number one, Nakobe Dean already be a linebacker in the league with 15 plays, making 5 of them for a loss. These are the types of things we want. And Stetson has that, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, that's who this guy is. He's a winner. He's not a stats guy. I mean, we could go on and on about all of this. The stats that Stetson Bennett has are the stats that people bent over backwards, went out of their way to tell me for the last week specifically don't matter when it comes to the Heisman Trophy. I saw this. There's some people talking about, it's kind of getting around. I don't know if you're aware, but one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL this year goes by the name of Jalen Hurts. Clint, he plays down there in Philadelphia, up there, I should say, in Philadelphia, having himself a great season. Jalen Hurts looks the part. I'll be honest, I did not see it coming. I did not think that this guy had an NFL future, but he looks great. People are going back and talking about Jalen Hurts, his record as an Alabama starting quarterback, Oklahoma starting quarterback, and Philadelphia starting quarterback. And it's an obscene number. I mean, the guy that's what he does.
He just wins.
He just wins football. You realize that is the thing that's being celebrated about Jalen Hurts is the exact thing that for the last 2 weeks, everyone and their mother has been trying to tell me specifically does not matter about Stetson Bennett. It's just the rhetoric is so lame and it's so predictable.
Asinine, Daniel.
It's insane that people are still going to beat this drum about how the guy doesn't have the measurables, the guy doesn't look the part, the guy doesn't have your prototypical statistical.
You realize Tim Tebow was a first-round draft choice with eyeball tests telling me that's not a quarterback.
That guy can't throw the ball.
But winning percentage, so the beauty pageant things.
Mm-hmm. But Tim Tebow had the height, he had the arm, he had
the arm.
Stetson wins a heck of a lot more than Tim Tebow did as a starter in his career. Stetson Bennett's about to be the starter of his second national championship team, of which Tim Tebow was not the starter of merely one national championship team.
It's weird.
And Stetson Bennett's going to go down as one of the greatest college quarterbacks to ever play the game. And it's going to take the benefit of some perspective and some time before people are willing to admit that and people are willing to see that. He just doesn't pass the get off the bus test. He doesn't pass the lazy sports writer read the box score test because, as we're going to get into in the second segment, that's not the way Kirby Smart plays football. He doesn't play to impress the lazy sports writer who just wants to browse the box scores.
This just in, Kirby doesn't play to impress anybody, but a handful of folk, and they all wear helmets at UGA currently.
Yeah. He plays to win.
There it is.
And that's what Stetson does. And that's why, of all the quarterbacks, and I've read all of these things about put Hendon Hooker on Georgia, put Stetson Bennett on Tennessee. I'm going to tell you 1,000 times out of 1,000, give me Stetson Bennett on Georgia's team over Hendon Hooker on Georgia's team. Now, to be fair, give me Hendon Hooker on Tennessee's team over Stetson Bennett on Tennessee's team. Stetson Bennett would do terribly on that team. But give me Stetson Bennett on this team. I'll take him over C.J. Stroud. I'll take him over Max Duggan. I'll take him over, who's the quarterback of Michigan? J.J., whatever his name is. And I'll certainly take him over Caleb Williams, who is playing in the Music City Bowl or the Tropicana Goldfish Bowl or the whatever bowl it is that he will not be playing in. Yeah, Give me Stetson Bennett. I don't care about all this. The question, though, Clint, is will Georgia ever see a person win the Heisman?
We're going to talk about that right after this, but first I want to let you know about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a fantastic place. Daniel, have you heard of LinkedIn before?
I have heard of LinkedIn. I believe you post your job there, and you get 250 jillion candidates.
Yeah. Well, that is not founded, so don't listen to that. What is founded is they get you the right candidate for your position.
The right candidate, that's what it is.
I'm trying to help you out here.
It's like the long-term relationship candidate, not the beauty pageant candidate.
This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to tell you. This is the reliable, the good choice, the one that fits your team, the one that is the missing piece for you to go ahead and win your version of the national championship in your business. That's LinkedIn. Right now, you get a job posting for free. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. Free posting with LinkedIn. Get the right candidate for your job.
All right, Clint. Interesting conversation. We had a little pre-show dialogue. I think we're going to disagree about this.
I don't think we are. It seems to me that this is most definite. I'm going to come out of the gates. Let me tell you.
Why don't you lead?
Under Kirby Smart, no Georgia player will ever win the Heisman Trophy. Fact.
Yikes. All right, sir. I disagree, but I'll hear the argument.
Here's the argument. Let's take this year's winner, Caleb Williams, as the prototypical Heisman candidate. Let's take Hendon Hooker, Tennessee fan, as the prototypical Heisman.
Sorry, he was not invited to New York.
I understand he wasn't, but I'm just going to use the argument of all naysayers because they're the same argument, Daniel, for Caleb. These teams have this in common. They don't care about defense at all.
At all.
They don't care about winning at all.
At all.
They don't care about anything other than being inventive with some sort of weird offense that no one else is doing so that you can watch them go and throw up 550 yards a game whenever they're in the fourth quarter, up by 40 against Texas State.
South Carolina. Oh, wait, no, that's not a good example. That's not a good example.
Nope. Pull that one back. Pull that one back. Against Utah. Nope, bad example.
That is not the one we want to go with.
That one
go
either.
Pull that one back.
Caleb Williams got his stats. And again, Caleb Williams should have won the Heisman. Let me tell you, he was phenomenal. He is a gifted athlete as well as thrower. It was evident in his maneuverability, his scramble, his excitement is off the radar. He pushed through injury. But Dave, I'm here to tell you that Kirby Smart, when he gets a lead, wants to win the game more than he wants to give stats to some people. And so he does the death march. It's a standard operating procedure. He wants a balanced attack. He wants to play good defense and good offense. And if you don't know ball, you don't understand that sometimes instead of on 3rd and 25, trying to go for a go route and then a flag route with a 1-2 read to pick up that, maybe you get it, maybe you don't. He wants to put his defense in a good position. So he's going to take a screen for 12 yards and punt the ball, because that's how it goes. Tennessee, USC, not doing that crap. Daniel, that's not how they run. He plays to win. He pulls guys in the fourth quarter because he cares about developing players that come in and getting them playing time in games. This is all why Stetson Bennett was one of the best players. We might have Carson Beck spin the ball for 3/4 of a game all next year, or whoever wins. They're going to have gaudy numbers, Daniel.
Yep.
They won't have comparable numbers to anybody else because they're playing in the fourth quarter of blowout games, meaningless ball, to pad their stats.
I think all of what you said is true, except the part about Georgia not ever having a chance to have somebody win the Heisman Trophy. I think with a couple of stipulations, I'll say. First of all of your points well taken and true. Kirby Smart would be terrible at Madden. That's a summary of what you just said. He would be the worst Madden player in the history of the game.
That guy's deep in the weeds on plays that aren't just suggested. He's going down real deep in that playbook.
Could not get it done. Okay. No. Josh Heupel, Lincoln Riley, great at the Madden. Love getting on them sticks. So Kirby plays a different game. And you're going to see different statistical lines. You're going to see different playing time comparisons. I mean, heck, Stetson Bennett played a decent amount of fourth quarters this year. He didn't throw the ball hardly one dang time in those fourth quarters.
No.
It's because again, Kirby doesn't just want to win the game. This is an important point. Every coach wants to win the game.
Sure.
Kirby wants to win the game now. He wants to win as soon as humanly possible. It's like somebody said, "Hey Daniel, you can have some queso at some point. When would you like it?" I would like it literally as soon as from now you could get it to me. That's when I want it to be in my mouth.
You asked the question and you didn't come to me with queso in your hand?
That's how Kirby feels about winning. And so he's like, can we bleed this clock? Can we get this thing running? Can we move this thing ahead? Because I don't want to win eventually.
No.
I'd like to win right now. So yes, you are going to see Kirby play it different. You are going to see different play calls in the fourth quarter. Absolutely you are. I'm going to use, and I'm going to give you this caveat. Georgia can have a player win the Heisman Trophy as long as Todd Monken is the offensive coordinator at Georgia. That is a very big stipulation in my argument.
I'm glad that you understand. I would have said if any situation you were about to address this conversation without that being number one.
That needs to be stated and assumed from the get-go. Todd Monken needs to be here. But if Todd Monken is here, here's what we know about Todd Monken. He can get himself some numbers in 3 quarters that other coaches struggle to get in 4.
Okay.
He can go ahead and put up some things he does not like to. Todd Monken wants to score points, and he wants to score them right now. That's what he likes to do. So I think Georgia does have an explosive offense. We've seen that this year. And I think, speaking of this year, I'm going to use as my primary evidence for why I think a Georgia player can win the Heisman. I'm going to use none other than Stetson Fleming Bennett the fourth. All of those things that you just said are going to be true about future Georgia quarterbacks. And yet, while they were true about Stetson, he still finished in the top 4 of the Heisman voting, still got an invite to New York, which means, Clint, when you take away the former walk-on, when you take away the 2-star, 3-star kid, when you put the pedigree behind it, when you put the hype behind it, and when you put together a season with maybe more meaningful regular season games than this regular season had, Georgia, quite frankly, had one intriguing regular season matchup, and that game was over in quite a hurry. So you take a 5-star quarterback that everybody wanted but Georgia got, and you get a potential future Todd McShay mock draft first-round draft pick. Okay. Don't act like these Heisman voters don't look at that stuff. Don't you act for 1 second like Heisman voters aren't thinking about what kind of stars this kid had or what kind of NFL draft projections. I'm saying you take Stetson Bennett's season, add maybe a few yards and a few touchdowns, and you put a 5-star kid who's a potential number 1 overall pick.
Yep.
And that team goes undefeated, wins the SEC, is number 1 seed in the college football playoff. That kid has got every shot to win the Heisman Trophy. And spoiler alert, that's going to be Georgia's situation for the foreseeable future.
Okay. The only thing that would sway me to come over to the other side, because you said case in evidence, Stetson Bennett. Stetson didn't win. You and I understand that in 100%. Meaningful games, top 25 matchups, and in the third 3 quarters, Stetson Bennett was a better quarterback than all the other quarterbacks on that stage. Outside of those, outside of top 25 matchups in the fourth quarter, you add all that, he wasn't statistically, which is what they look at. They voted that way. But the one thing you said, Daniel, for the future that I'm intrigued with, and I'll leave a door open. Leave it a
little crack.
The SEC schedule, Daniel, is about to go no division, just
divisionless basketball. Tom Crean's going to love it. Divisionless basketball.
Guys, keep praying for your boy to keep Daniel off off the hardwood.
It's not going to go great.
It's not going to go great. But divisionless, just one conference. And we also have the understanding that their games are going to be much more meaningful. Hey, we're going to come back after this. But first, I want you to know about Simply Safe. Simply Safe is the place that you need to get over to right now to keep every single thing that you have that you want safe and protected. Just that, safe and protected. Simply Safe offers incredible packages that ship right to your home. You get everything that you need to do it yourself. 24/7 monitoring, easiest system, voted best security system 3rd year in a row. And right now, our listeners get 40% off whatever they do over at Simply Safe in their cart with simplysafe.com/locked-on. You get 40% off. That's simplysafe.com/locked-on for 40% off your entire order with the best security system for the 3rd year in a row. Simply Safe, get over there right now. All right, Daniel, we are talking final Heisman. I left the door cracked. It just lets stray feral cats in to dance on pianos.
Yep.
That's
you never know what manner of man or beast might wander in to your humble abode.
I don't want any random man or beast coming into my abode.
Just to follow up on that point, Georgia's schedule this year, we can admit this, Georgia fans. Georgia's schedule this year was not good. Georgia did not have a strong schedule. The toughest test we faced all year was probably South Carolina. I mean, objectively speaking, that's probably the best team that Georgia played this year. I can't think of any other teams that certainly could beat South Carolina that we played this year, so I don't know of any other tests that we faced. Not a ton of big-time notable matchups, and I do think that makes a difference in the eyes of these Heisman. Listen, Heisman voters are not the most sophisticated people in the world.
No.
They're not.
Desmond Howard.
They're a lot like college football playoff voters. They're not exactly the sharpest tools.
Texas A&M, Pittsburgh. Yeah. And what else did he have in the playoffs?
Lord in heaven. He did have Michigan in the playoffs, so he got one.
1 for 4.
He did get one. It's like March Madness. If you got one Final Four team on your bracket, like you feel good about it. You
ever have that cousin that always goes to jail, Daniel, because he can't help himself? That's what you're like with basketball talk. You always find a way to.
Oh, I'll get around there. You want to get back to it? All right. Let's talk about if Georgia does have a future Heisman winner.
So I leave the door open. You say yes, it'll be there. We need to talk who might be that person for Georgia next year or the foreseeable future under Kirby Smart.
Let's go next season.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask the question to you this way: make a case for someone on Georgia. I mean, a compelling case.
Yeah.
For someone on Georgia being a Heisman finalist whose name is not Carson Beck.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one name, Daniel.
Only one.
I'm gonna give you one name.
Okay.
Running backs rotate.
Branson Robinson.
Look, I am a notable Branson Robinson president fan club, but it will not be him. We rotate running backs too much, so it can't be him. Wide receivers, I don't think it's going to be there. Now, receiving the ball, Daniel.
Is that the same as wide receiver, or is that something different?
I'm actually going to go off the beaten path, Daniel. I'm going to give you a guy that's on defense.
Oh.
Aiden Hutchinson made it to New York.
He did make it to New York.
If y'all don't realize, Michael Williams is a freak. Next year, you tell me, Daniel.
Yikes.
You tell. Look, you said make a case. I don't think Brock Bowers is going to have the ability to get to New York at all. He's the best tight end. He's one of the best receivers next year. This year.
Sure.
Michael Williams has an opportunity, Daniel, because our schedule next year is kind of like this year, if we're being honest. Okay, Georgia fan?
Yep. We can. It's a safe place.
It's a safe place.
Georgia fans, you're listening. It's just Georgia fans listening.
It's not a big deal. Loyal third segment listeners.
It's all us. We're fine.
Michael Williams is going to have an opportunity to get as much playing time as he desires, Daniel.
That's not wrong.
Okay. He's going to be the most gifted defensive player on the line. I didn't say on the field. On the line.
Yeah, that's not wrong.
Okay. And he's in Kirby Smart's system that likes to get havoc everywhere. in the SEC. I'm just making the case of the player that's outside of quarterback. I don't think anybody's going to win Heisman that's not a quarterback for the next decade.
I think somebody might.
Okay, give me who you think. I think somebody might.
Listen.
Okay.
Everyone thinks you're going to go Brock Bowers here. But I just don't think that Brock Bowers is going to put the numbers together to do it. I don't see it. Georgia has got a bevy of talented running backs. Like you said, Clint, therein lies the problem. We can't have a bevy of talented running backs. And there is no one in this running back group that has clearly separated themselves, especially when you're looking at next year's roster.
Right.
Somebody that's not a quarterback recently did win the Heisman. Clint, are you familiar? Are you aware?
I am aware.
Did it happen?
It did.
Okay. Somebody on this podcast has notably compared that young man.
No, you have.
That young man to a different young man by the name of A.D. Mitchell. If you don't think that there is a shot that junior year A.D. Mitchell, fully healthy and back, playing with Carson Beck, who, if you just take things at a surface level, has got all the arm strength in the world to make every throw sideline to sideline. Who's going to benefit the most from that, Clint? It's perimeter wide receivers. It is playmaking guys on the outside. I really believe that A.D. Mitchell is as talented of a wide receiver as Georgia has had in quite some time. I really believe that he could put together the absolute monster numbers that it requires for a wide receiver on a national championship contending team to go all the way to New York for a Heisman Finals. I think he's going to be the featured weapon in the offense next year. I really do believe that. I still think Brock Bowers is going to be a top 5 overall pick.
As he should be.
But I don't think Brock Bowers is going to lead this team in receptions or receiving yards or receiving touchdowns next year. And so if you want a spicy take about next year's team, that's it. I think A.D. Mitchell leads in every single one of those categories next year.
Yeah.
I think he's the best shot outside of Carson Beck, obviously, for Georgia to send somebody to New York next year.
Look, the door that I'm going to leave cracked for that as well. Again, the back door is always open for covers in betting as well as for this. We have seen the offense morph from year to year under Todd Monken and Kirby Smart, depending on the personnel.
Utilize the players that you have.
So this is a well-made point.
And Carson Beck and Todd Monken knows Carson Beck better than any of us do.
Yes.
He has seen him throw the football more than anyone else probably in the world.
He's better at watching Carson Beck throw than you are at breathing.
That is accurate.
Okay. And breathing is an automated response for your body. Just let that sink in.
It's Todd. Winning championships is an automated response for Todd Monken's body.
There we go.
It's not that far outside the realm.
It's a point well made. Hey, we're going to come back tomorrow, and we're going to be talking more Georgia football as we lead up into this New Year's Eve playoff against Ohio State. Come back with us. Subscribe where podcasts are. Leave a comment, leave a review, subscribe to YouTube, and we will see you guys later.
See ya.